The hidden web behind global debt. Who really controls the money? Opening scene. Dark, slow-moving visuals of city skylines at night, interspersed with flickering numbers, flickering banknotes, and global maps. Narrator. What if everything you think you know about money, debt, and the global economy is just a carefully crafted story? Imagine an invisible web threading through every nation, binding them together in a cycle of debt that never truly frees, but always controls. Who really holds the strings behind the staggering mountain of global debt over dollar? 300 trillion. And what if those strings are pulled not by governments or people, but by secretive forces few understand? Today, we uncover the hidden web behind global debt and reveal the powerful entities controlling the money. This is not just a story of numbers. It's a story of power, secrecy, and a financial system designed to keep most of us in the dark. Setting the stage, the origins of money and debt. Money was once simple bartering goods, measuring value with gold or silver. But as societies grew complex, so too did money. The invention of paper money and, later, central banking radically changed the game. Emblematic figures such as the Rothschild family in the 19th century emerged as pioneers in banking, weaving an intricate network of loans, bonds, and credit that fueled nation-building and national indebtedness. Central banks became the quiet heart of this system, tasked with managing currency and controlling inflation. But behind this facade lies a more complex dance system where debt isn't just a side effect but a pivotal product. Nations borrow not to grow, but to survive, creating a steady demand for money from banks. But who truly lends this money, and under what terms? The rise. How debt became a global machine. By the mid-20th century, debt exploded beyond personal or national levels. Post-war rebuilding led to heavy borrowing by countries. Creation of institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank seemed to promise global financial stability, but the truth was murkier. Behind closed doors, governments collaborated with private financial interests and central banks, some controlled by a handful of shadowy elites. Debt was no longer just money owed. It became a tool to shape policies, influence sovereignty, and monopolize resources. Countries unable to pay faced austerity, loss of control, or worse, foreign influence disguised as bailouts. The breaking point, the debt crisis and its fallout, the 1980s and 1990s, exposed the fragility of this system. Debt crises swept across Latin America, Asia, and Africa. Interest payments on debt often surpassed the original loans, trapping nations in a perpetual cycle of borrowing. The fallout was devastating. Economic depressions, massive unemployment, social unrest, and a growing mistrust of official narratives about money and banking. Attempts to fix the system came, but often only deepened dependency. Entering the 21st century, the 2008 global financial crisis revealed how intertwined global debt had become with derivatives, securitization, and speculative financial instruments engineered by major banks. Central banks again stepped in, printing trillions in quantitative easing to stabilize markets, but critics argue this inflated debt bubbles further, benefiting those controlling the financial levers most. Modern parallels: the debt trap repeats itself. Fast forward to today. Global debt surpasses $300 trillion, almost 350% of world GDP. Governments continue borrowing, using debt to fund everything from infrastructure to pandemic relief, yet financial inequality grows. The creditors are often large private banks, investment funds, and yes, the very central banks once thought to safeguard economies. Surprising data shows that much of this debt is internally recycled through complex instruments and off-balance sheet entities, blurring lines between lender and borrower. The quintessential paradox is that debt serves as both a threat and profit source for the same players. Patterns repeat. Nations borrowing to cover old debts, central banks creating money from thin air, and a few powerful actors steering the global economy from behind the curtain. 3 clear takeaways. Debt is a deliberate control mechanism. It's engineered to keep countries and individuals dependent on larger financial players rather than promoting real independence or growth. They play an active, sometimes hidden role in perpetuating this system, balancing between crisis management and benefiting powerful interests. Transparency is scarce but essential. Without clear insight into who really controls this massive global debt, the average person remains vulnerable to economic manipulation. Warning and open-ended thought: the web of global debt is tangled deeper than most can imagine, and its power extends beyond economics into politics and society itself. As debt levels continue to soar, the system edges closer to a breaking point with consequences that might ripple across generations. Will we see a reckoning or a reinvention? It remains unanswered. But one thing is clear: understanding the hidden forces behind money and debt is the first step toward reclaiming control. Call to action if this dive into the hidden world of global debt intrigued you. Subscribe for more deep explorations into money, power, and secrets they don't want you to know. Share this video to spread awareness, and comment below with what questions you want us to unravel next, because knowledge is the only currency truly worth having.